are in the Hoodwood. I'm the Black Bandit KJ Green, welcoming you to this week's program for June 14th, 2018. Coming up in this edition, Finals Postmortem and the calm before the free agency storm. Why Justified made me look bad again. The U.S. Open, can Tiger make a heroic comeback? And why the World Cup should matter to you, even with the U.S. with no team. All that Phat Dap and head slap coming up this week in Sports from the Hoodwood. Are you ready? Let's go.
You're tuned into Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for the most honest, inspiring insight and opinion on the world of sports. Now, once again, here's the man of the hour, After Hours, your host, KJ Green.
Greetings from the Hoodwood, where, as usual, we're flying by the seat of our pants. That's usually the way life works, and that's the way this program's going to work this week. Kind of a light script written out, but most of it's going to be me sitting back and chewing the fat with you, my devoted listener. I welcome you to the Hoodwood. And as I said on these very airwaves last week, Cleveland about finna get swept. And like I said, Cleveland got swept. Friday night's game was not so much a coronation of the Warriors winning their third title in 4 years, but pretty much a funeral in Cleveland. The Warriors toyed with the Cavaliers for about 2 quarters and then decided they were not going to extend the misery of the basketball watching public any further and just demolished the Cavaliers in the third quarter and coasted to a 108-85 win and a fourth win, which gives them the series in a 4-game sweep. They are the first franchise to win 2 NBA titles via sweep. You think about that. The mighty Celtics, the Bill Russell-led Celtics, the Larry Bird Celtics, never had more than one sweep. I don't even think Larry Bird's 3 titles that they swept any of the series. I think they won both their titles over Houston in 6, and they beat the Lakers in 7. But still, the Warriors are trying their best to chisel their name in the pantheon of great and legendary teams. And then the dreaded D word, dynasty, is coming up. Winning back-to-back was something that I think that the Warriors wanted to do. It was something that, even though they only won 58 games, you say only 58 games. If you think about this team won 67 and 73 and 65 games over the last 3 seasons. Winning 58 kind of looks paltry. But they marched through the playoffs, taking care of business all the way, all 4 rounds, and dispatching I think their toughest opponent was in the Western Finals when they were down 3-2 to Houston, knowing they would have to win a 7th game in Houston, which they did. But is the word dynasty, is that a word that you're going to start to use when describing this team? The much maligned Kevin Durant once again winning Finals MVP with a absolutely brilliant performance. And I didn't want to hear anybody say that LeBron James should have won Finals MVP because he did everything. No. He did everything but get them a win. Point blank. I'm sorry. And I am far from a LeBron James detractor. I think he's one of the greatest players of this generation. Transcendent player that has done so much. But you're now starting to look at, he's been in 8 straight finals. And it's 3-5 in those 8 straight finals. I'm not even counting the 2007 sweep by the San Antonio Spurs. I'm not counting that against him. That team was young, inexperienced, and basically lambs led to slaughter. This team, I can't say was young and inexperienced, but was led to slaughter. The Warriors were better in every position, a better bench, better coached, better prepared than the Cavaliers were. The Cavaliers had 1.5 stars. LeBron James and Kevin Love when he decided to show up. Now comes the fun part. This is where the fun starts. Free agency starts in 2 weeks. 1st of June. 1st of July. It's widely expected that LeBron James is going to opt out of his 4th year and shop his wares for a 3rd time. First time he went to Miami, 2nd time he came back to Cleveland. This will be an unprecedented 3rd trip down the runway. Kick the tires of different teams. Who's gonna pick him up? Who's he gonna go to? Many people figure he's going out to LA where he has a house. I think going to the Lakers would be the biggest mistake that LeBron James could do for his legacy in his career. For the simple fact of this, that team is not ready to win anything. And I don't give 2 shits, and I will say that and be explicit on my podcast. I couldn't give anything what LeVar Ball says. That team is not ready to win. Lonzo Ball is not ready to step up his game to play alongside LeBron James. And I don't care what the LA fans want to say. If LeBron James went to LA with, say, Paul George, say, Chris Paul, it would make absolutely no sense. That team would not have the depth, the experience, the wherewithal to win in the playoffs. Oh, sure, they'd win 50 games. LeBron James can carry a team to 50 wins. We've already seen that. If he has some help, sure. He could drag the Lakers into the playoffs. But this is the West. This isn't the East. You're not going to get by with 50 wins and a Coke and a smile and get through the playoffs. No, I'm sorry. It's not going to work that way. 50 wins might get you a 5. It might get you a 4, maybe. Oh yeah, you're getting a 4. I'll get the 4 or 5. Sure. Maybe you get home court advantage for the first round. But guess who's waiting in the second round? If you get a 4 or 5, say the Lakers get LeBron James, win 52 games, get a 4 seed. And guess who, if they win that first round, if they win the first round, guess who's waiting for them in the next round? That's right, a number 1 seed, boys and girls. And who would that number 1 seed be? More than likely, that number 1 seed will be Golden State. And what will happen if they face Golden State? They'll get executed quickly. And I don't care what LeVar Ball says about his boys and what would happen. They would get against Golden State and they would get creamed. I don't care what people think about the Lakers, and it's a great place for him to go. And they don't have a bench. They don't have depth. Lonzo Ball has shown that he is not ready. And I don't care what the pundits like to say. LA would be the worst place for LeBron to go. Now, where else could LeBron go? I've heard people say San Antonio. San Antonio would be a great place for him to go. There's one problem there. Are you sure that Kawhi Leonard is going to stay in San Antonio? That is one of the biggest mysteries, the biggest unanswered questions. Now, keep in mind, Kawhi Leonard still has a year left to go on his contract. If he stays in San Antonio, he would more than likely be eligible for the Supermax contract waiting on the other side of his next season, because with the contract kickers and incentives, and he makes an all-NBA team, which pretty much he could do in his sleep if he's healthy, he would qualify for the ginormous contracts. And I'm talking about $220 million. A 5-year contract where he could possibly, more than likely, make $45 million a year. That's a reality. That could happen. Now, the chances of this happening, LeBron James going to San Antonio and playing alongside Kawhi Leonard, while tempting, playing for one of the best coaches in the NBA, Greg Popovich, I still say is remote. Because where the Lakers were too young, the Spurs are too old. Tony Parker's on the downside of his career. Nobody knows if Manu Ginobili is going to come back. A lot of people think he's not. Greg Popovich is looking at, well, I'm not getting any younger. Greg Popovich is on the far side of 60. And you're wondering how long is he going to be there? If he doesn't come back, and Pop has been in San Antonio better than 20 years. You think LeBron James is seeing this and thinking, I may get 1 year to play with Pop? Play for Pop? Maybe. San Antonio is not the right place for LeBron James to go. There are 3 places I say that would be perfect for LeBron James to go. Philadelphia, Houston, and believe it or not, Cleveland. No. Seriously, hear me out on this. LeBron James staying in Cleveland makes a lot of sense. One, he can continue to play. He could opt out of his contract, but then turn around right back around and sign for more money in Cleveland than he can anywhere else. But also there's a delicious prospect of this. Him enticing some of his buddies to come to Cleveland to try to make a run and try to win Cleveland another title. It sounds like a fantasy land, but you go with the devil you know. And the East is markedly, and I mean markedly, weaker than the West. 52-53 wins will get you a 2 seed. 54 wins might get you a 1 or a 2. You can coast, and I shouldn't say coast, but the road to the finals through the East is a lot easier than the road to the finals through the West. If LeBron James goes West, he better have a strong supporting cast with him. That's where Houston comes in. Playing alongside Chris Paul, James Harden. But you have to wonder, are there enough basketballs to go around? Chris Paul's going to get his, but he's a ball distributor. But James Harden, that offense, dribble between your legs for 15, 20 seconds, will not work with a player like LeBron James. He would have to adjust his game. And therein lies the rub. Will it happen? More views on Sports in the Hoodwood returns in just a moment. Stay close. On we go in the Hoodwood. I'm KJ Green. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast, which is heard on a variety of sources. If I could talk, I'd be dangerous. I really would. Anyway, the Preakness, the Belmont, the Kentucky Derby, 3 jewels of the Triple Crown. The Belmont was run last Saturday. And on these airwaves, I said very succinctly that I didn't think that Justified was going to win the Triple Crown. Did I say that? Yeah. Well, see, what had happened was, skip it. Man, I honestly did not think that Justify had the stones, had the gas tank to run the 1.5 miles at the Belmont, which Belmont has ruined the prospective hopes of many a Triple Crown hopeful. I mean, I chronicled it last week about the different horses that got run down or tired out in the Belmont. Belmont's a mile and a half. That's no joke. You look at the time the legendary Secretariat ran 224 and wonder how. But many a horse gets tired after that, that mile and a half. You see horses tired out of the top of the stretch. I thought Justified didn't have the stones to do it. Boy, was I wrong. Justified came out strong, hung tough in the middle part of the race, pulled away late, won by 2 lengths to be the second Triple Crown winner in 4 years. Now you think about it. Went 37 years without a Triple Crown winner. And now we've had 2 in, 15 and 18 to 2 and 4. Now, are we going to be lucky enough to see another Triple Crown winner in the next 25, 30 years? Who knows? But Justified made me look real bad. I mean, I was picking against him. I didn't think he had the stones. I didn't think he had the wherewithal to run the mile and a half, to stay in the lead, and win the race, much less dominate. He was pretty dominant in the race. Like I said, started strong, finished strong, and won the third jewel of the Triple Crown. And unlike a lot of these Triple Crown winners, he's going to continue racing. So it's going to be interesting to see how this now legendary horse will do now that he is a marked pony, if you will. Speaking of marked ponies or marked men, U.S. Open is getting started in Shinnecock Hills, and it has been incredibly 10 years since Tiger Woods last won a major. His 90 holes, plus it was tied after 72 holes with Rocco Mediate in San Diego, and then it was an 18-hole playoff. Still wasn't nothing decided, and then the sudden death last hole, winning it on the last hole, and doing it on a bum leg. I mean, Tiger Woods had cemented his reputation as one of the best golfers of our generation, if not of all time. And having won his 14th major, many people would think it was a big foregone conclusion that he was going to pass Jack Nicklaus for all-time major wins with 18. That was 10 years ago. Well, since 2008, Tiger Woods hasn't won that much of anything. He's been dodging lawsuits and sexual harassment and divorce, and Tiger Woods became almost a cautionary tale of too much too soon. I don't know. I was expecting Tiger Woods to be my generation's Jack Nicklaus. I mean, I saw Jack Nicklaus play a little bit when I was a kid. I remember him winning the Masters at 42 and people going crazy and not really appreciating Jack Nicklaus's career for what it was. I saw Tiger Woods from his first win at the Greater Milwaukee Open, 1997, then winning the Masters, young cat, and you're going, wow. Now, some 20 some odd years later, Tiger Woods has won 14 majors, but he hasn't won one in 10 years. And the thing is this: Father Time defeated. Tiger Woods will likely not surpass 18 majors like Jack Nicklaus, but winning one more, one for the road, similar to what Jack Nicklaus did in the Masters in 1986, could that be possible? I could see that happening. But Tiger Woods is fighting a battle against time where the swing is no longer dominant. People don't fear Tiger on Sundays like they used to. But Tiger Woods is still Tiger Woods. He's still a legend. And you have to wonder, could he do like Jack Nicklaus did in 1986? Reach back in the Wayback Machine, hit the putts, hit the drives, hit everything perfect, and have that 4-round dream weekend and put it all together. Make a heroic comeback. Do like Jack Nicklaus did 32 years ago. Man, I am getting old. And I remember pulling that Sports Illustrated out of my mailbox and seeing Jack Nicklaus on the cover thinking, wow, we'll never see nothing like this again. A 42-year-old winning the Masters. We're looking at Tiger Woods, who's all of 42, winning the U.S. Open. Don't laugh. It could be a possibility. Some thoughts on the World Cup as well as Phat Dap and Head Slap. Straight ahead. Stay close.
You're tuned into Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for no-nonsense commentary, insight, and opinions on the world of sports. Here, now live in living color, backed by popular demand. Your host, KJ Green.
Still in the Hoodwood, still running my mouth, trying to do this all at once. Well, the U.S. Cup is, the U.S. Cup, Lord, the U.S., no, not U.S., the World Cup. You know, it's funny that if it's not involving with the U.S., how the quote-unquote sporting public really kind of gives it a, I mean, I said U.S. 3 times. Should be the World Cup. World Cup is starting in Russia Thursday, with Russia knocking out a 5-0 decision over Saudi Arabia. Wow, that was kind of a rollover, walkover win for the Russians. But you're going to have the usual suspects. Germany, the defending champion, Spain, Brazil looking to redeem itself after its absolute humiliation to the Germans in the World Cup semifinals last time out. I remember watching the game and going, are you serious? Another goal? Another goal? The Germans were just tagging the Brazilians like a prize fight, and you wanted to go hit them back. But the Brazilians never did. And if you remember my old YouTube video show, and I did one right after that debacle, and Princess Katie, my oldest daughter, was doing the, Dad, yes, Princess Katie, the Germans just scored again. It's like, oh, geez. It was that bad. And you have to wonder, even though the Brazilians now have supposed to be a galaxy of stars on their team, if they will ever psychologically be able to recover from that drumming. Because they're going to get reminded of it. Oh, yeah, they're going to get reminded of it. And in Spain, of course, having their national coach be sacked the day before the World Cup is to start because he decided he was going to take a club job with Real Madrid. And you wonder, could the Spanish have been more ill-timed to do that? The Spanish having won 22 consecutive matches under this coach, and to sack the coach this close to arguably the biggest soccer tournament in the world lends people to wonder, what are the Spanish thinking? This is just senseless. Just absolutely senseless. Now, if you want a sleeper team, a team that could be a tough out, I'm going to go with the Belgians. The Belgium team has enough young talent, hungry talent, They could go looking for some upsets. And the thing is this. You have the draws where Belgium, should they win their group, could get deep enough in the tournament where they don't have to face a team till the quarters of the semis. That could be a lot of fun. That's going to be a dangerous team. Watch the Belgian team. I got a good feeling about that. Now, of course, the U.S. did not qualify for the World Cup this year. They had plenty of shots, plenty of chances, and screwed it up. But there's a little bit of a silver lining, I guess. FIFA decided to award the 2026 World Cup to North America, Canada, United States, and Mexico, all putting in a joint bid. So all three countries will be hosting games of the World Cup, but a majority of these games will be played in the U.S. Now, 2026 is 8 years away. Lord knows what's going to happen in 8 years. But fans should be watching the World Cup now to get a feel for the beautiful game, to get a feel for why over 1 billion people, better than 1/7 of this planet's population, will be watching some, if not all, of the tournament. They, and I'm saying the U.S., should care. They should be able to identify these players. They should be able to identify these coaches that should be able to set up a type of system so that a young U.S. squad, you think about it, the players that are going to be playing in the 2026 U.S. for the U.S. team are likely in junior high, high school, maybe. They're still young cats. The process for identifying the best players, getting them trained, getting them ready, getting them prepared for a World Cup bid that they're going to have in 2026, which the field is going to be expanded to 48 teams. So they're going to have even more of a chance to win games. They're going to have even more of a chance to prove themselves. But the work should start now, in 2018. The work should start now, preparing and identifying the right players and the right system and the right coaches to put everything together so that the U.S. can make a serious, credible World Cup bid. I remember in 1994 when the U.S. had the World Cup, and it was a novelty, kind of, to the U.S. fan. They didn't understand the passion of the game. I mean, for crying out loud, somebody got killed over a World Cup game. When the U.S. lost, won a game in an upset of Colombia on a tragic own goal, the player that did that was killed. People in the U.S. didn't understand that, and I still don't think they understand that kind of seriousness and severity that these countries put to this game. I don't think they'll ever understand that kind of passion. They're just now getting the fact that soccer is a global sport and something that the world really cares about. Not the Super Bowl, not the World Series, not the NBA Finals, but the World Cup. Soccer. They call it football. We call it soccer. But it's still one of the most passionate sports in the world. And the U.S. is seriously lacking on its development. Yes, they have MLS. But you're not going to put an MLS team against a Premier League team, a La Liga team, a Bundesliga team. You put any of a MLS champion against a Premier League team, they're going to get skunked. You put an MLS team against a La Liga team, put them up against Real Madrid, Barcelona. For crying out loud, they get stomped. You're not going to see an MLS team in the Champions League. They're going to get creamed. Stop that madness. The U.S. needs to identify the players that are going to be cup worthy in 2026. A coach and a system that's going to win games in 2026. Not be a novelty like it was in 1994. We'll finish up with Phat Dap and Head Slap in just a minute. And the final thought in just a minute.
You're tuned into Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for no-nonsense commentary, insight, and opinions on the world of sports. Here, now live in living color, backed by popular demand. Your host, KJ Green.
Down the stretch we come in the Hoodwood. And like I said, I was flying by the seat of my pants. I rode, usually I write out a Phat Dap and Head Slap, somebody that I usually like to give, I don't know, just kind of a pat on the back and a slap upside the head for good things and bad things. Being Father's Day on Sunday, I give a Phat Dap to all the men who are fathers and are in their children's lives. Now, I say this kind of as bittersweet. I have two daughters whom I love very, very much. Katie and Jazzy, who mean more to me than life itself. And being a father is a tough job, especially if you are someone who is not with the mother and helping to raise a child. The men who are in a position like that and have to deal with all sorts of drama, those are the people I beg for. Now, men who don't care about their children and talk about them but don't do nothing but pay lip, I have no respect for. And that kind of leads into my head slap. Head slap is to the men who don't care, but then talk about Father's Day like it's some sort of big deal. Without my father. Me and my father were never very close. My father passed away a few years ago, and I was not very emotional. But I made it a point to be in my daughters' lives so they knew who I was, so they knew what I liked, what I was passionate about, to be able to laugh with them and console them when they were down and be there when they needed me. I give the Phat Dap to the men who are there in their children's lives, whether they're living with the mother, happily married, raising families, or someone who is there, taking care, doing what they're supposed to do. As they like to say on Mark, stepping up. And any fool can be a daddy, but it takes a real man to be a father. And I give Phat Dap to those who are doing that. Now, the final thought of the week, normally I would have this long soliloquy about some sort of injustice in sports or something going on one way or the other. But guess what? I don't. I didn't really write something out, and I really didn't think that much about it. So I will give you my final thought of this. If you have a father, if you are a father, take the time to appreciate what you have. As I've said before, my kids are my world. I can sit right here in the studios of Black Bandit Productions and look up at the pictures I have of me with both of my daughters. If you have a father and you're close to him, reach out. Give him a call. Stop by. Watch a ball game with him. Something like that. Spend time. If you have kids, take the time to appreciate your children because that's your legacy. And as a father, I became very, very aware of that. My daughters are the two most greatest gifts that I've ever been blessed with. And being a father means a lot to me. It's something that I take very seriously. And it's, through all of my ups and downs, and, screw-ups and being human, they've been there. And for them to call me daddy is something that I take very, very seriously. And it's something that I always think people should take seriously. Well, with the music coming up in the background, that means your time in the Hoodwood is just about there. And I thank you so much for your visit. Now, if you have any kind of email, if you have any kind of questions, show comments, ideas on topics, praise, criticism, what have you, you can send me an email at kjgreen@blackbanditproductions.com. kjgreen@blackbanditproductions.com. I answer every email. Send me something, I will write back, I promise. And you can get the weekly podcast on Facebook at Black Bandit Productions and Enterprises. It's on Spreaker as well as Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio as Sports from the Hoodwood. It's on Twitter at KJGreen20. I am all over the place. So, that's that, fellow sports fans. Flying by the seat of my pants, as usual. So until next week, from the Hoodwood, I'm KJ Green. We'll see you next time. 30. Sports from the Hoodwood is a Black Bandit Productions Enterprises presentation of a 551 audio and films presentation.